Hi. Well, you're probably looking for the video where you can post your assignment for your Khirbet Khizeh paper, the major paper that you're writing uh, on the story. Here it is. Here it is. Let me just make a very few short comments, and then I'll leave you to your posting. Um, there are a number of themes that you know from reading the story, and I hope you've thought about them, tried to identify them, and think through them as you've read the story. But let's just remind ourselves, refresh ourselves. You might want to, when you think about these, you might want to go back and make some revisions to uh, your papers if perhaps some of these themes um, are important to you. You think they're important, but you have not incorporated them into your paper. The major theme, of course, is exile. The uh, Jews traditionally have been an exiled people. Here it is the Israelis who are exiling the Palestinians. Um, Second theme is alienation. This is the alienation of the protagonist from his peers. He never becomes one of the boys. He never feels like he shares their values. Um, he really does feel out of place, which is what it means to feel alienated. He doesn't, a number of times, as you recall, he says that he would very much like to just get up and go home. He's not he's not feeling, as we would say, what he's doing. He's feeling rather badly about it, and guilty, and he has other emotions as well. But he's certainly alienated from his peers, and he's alienated from the task that his unit has asked him to do. Um, there's the theme of racism, which we've discussed at length. Boredom. The soldiers end up waiting a lot, and this boredom gives Yijar the space to develop some important characterization. We get to see um, the protagonist's peers as they are waiting for something to happen. This gives them space, a narrative space in which to act, to tell us something about themselves, their personality. They tend to be fairly crude at times. These are not terribly poetic souls. Perhaps one of the most important themes is power. It is always the case that the more powerful exert a disproportionate and oftentimes unjust amount of influence, power over the less powerful. This is obvious. The powerful always screw around the less powerful. One of the marks of integrity is when a more powerful entity, whether it's a nation or an individual, chooses not to use that power to impose uh, the more powerful agent's will on a subject, but uses restraint and uses that power for the good instead of for the coercion or the oppression of the weaker. We also get the theme of war. This is occurring, this whole um, scene in Khirbet Khizeh, this fictional village of Khirbet Khizeh, is occurring in the context of the Israeli War of Independence. So the theme of war is threaded through. It continuously comes into the story. Dispossession. If there's anything that is happening to anyone in this story, it is the dispossession of the Palestinian people from their land, from their villages, their homes. They are uh, they are dispossessed of their location, their identity, which is tied to their location, by the more powerful agents, the Israelis. And of course, victimization. Victimization and dispossession go hand in hand. Those who are being dispossessed are also victims. Now, those are the major themes that I will mention. One thing I want to hover over just for a moment is this matter of the protagonist's attitudes toward perceptions of his comrades, his peers. He certainly does not feel terribly comradely toward them. He is repulsed in many instances, but he's not merely someone who feels one thing. This is what makes the narrator an interesting, engaging narrator. He's not just one thing. We see him in moments when he expresses impatience with the Arabs. There are moments when he expresses what comes very close to, or perhaps over the edge, racism toward the Arabs. He is, if anything, a man who feels ambivalent about what he is doing. He is conflicted. He is torn, and this makes any character much more interesting when they're not black or white, but they're mixed up the situation, and their feelings toward the situation are complex. And there's what we call, there are multiple valences going on, different connections between the character, for example, and his situation, and the character, the protagonist, and the other characters, in the story. We see many instances where the protagonist is repulsed, either by his comrades, by what he's having to do, or by the Arabs themselves. Sometimes he feels simply complacent, like he just can't care anymore. And then there are times when he is simply resigned. He realizes what is happening is beyond his control, so there is a sense of resignation. This is going to happen. What can I do? At the same time, his peers are remarkably untroubled by what's happening, given the fact that they are Jewish, and given the fact, as many of you have pointed out, the Jewish people have been screwed around by so many different parties over the centuries, as they have. These men in his unit are remarkably untroubled by what they're doing, and their hostility and racism, their willingness, their fantasies about violence are really quite shocking. Okay, so I'll stop there and hope that some of this is useful for you. When you hear these comments, we watch these comments, maybe you'll want to go back and revisit something in your paper. Maybe not. It's your call. I hope you're not looking at this the night before the assignment is due. If you are, and you want to take a little extra time on your work to incorporate some of these ideas in your paper, feel free. Go ahead. All right. Listen, thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care. Bye.